Ladies and gentlemen of the tube, that is you. Welcome. Today, we finally have all of our PC parts in our possession. And so, without further ado, we're going to put this thing together. And we're going to see what kind of performance that we get. And indeed, this is a build that is a mixture of used and new parts, which, in my opinion, is always the best way to get the most value out of your computer. And so we've got lots to talk about today. We're going to go through each piece. We're not going to try to take too long on that. And then we're going to assemble this thing, and we're going to do some tests on it. And we'll see what kind of value we can get out of a computer build like this. So I hope this is profitable for you today. Let's get started. Well, it's become a little bit of a tradition for me to include my little boys in these kinds of videos. They are getting smarter and smarter as the days go on. And today they're going to help us to understand what kind of components we've selected for this build. Thank you, Bastion.
I'll pick that up.
Thank you, Pope. That works. Okay, so starting with that part that's all the way over there on Sebastian's left side. What is that?
It's a processor.
Indeed. It is going to be a 4-core Ryzen processor, not hyper-threaded. That is the 2200G. It's one that I had laying around, one of our used parts. You might be scoffing at this moment about how well a 4-core processor will work in today's markets. But I assure you it should be okay. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, what's that thing up on top of the case there, Bash?
A graphics card.
Yes, indeed, that is the graphics card.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
It's fine, but this graphics card is kind of attractive looking, considering that we did pay more than one would like. Obviously, graphics cards prices haven't really gotten any better. This is an RX 470. It is a reference model, but it does come with this beautiful backplate, and it should match the aesthetics of our case fairly well once it's inside. And so we'll get to see what kind of performance we can get out of a 470 these days. Whoa. What else do we have here, Bash?
RAM?
Yes, how much?
2.
Yes, we have 2 sticks of 8 gigabytes of DDR4, and it's capable of 3200, but it might not get 3200. We'll see. It depends on whether or not the XMP profiles are going to work with that processor and this board. There's a lot of things up in the air at this point. We don't know for sure, right, Bashin?
Yeah.
Okay. What's that blue thing over there?
Hard drive.
Yes, indeed. This is a 2.5-inch Western Digital Blue 500 gigabyte hard drive, pardon me. And yeah, we're going to probably use this just for some mass storage. We need to have a little more storage for games and things like that, because the SSD that we have there is our SanDisk M.2 SATA drive, and it's only 128 gigabytes. So this is going to be our boot drive. Yeah, it's just not enough storage. It'll be nice and fast for some of our more important software and things, but we're going to have to store video games most likely on that Western Digital Blue.
I don't know how this build is going to go.
Yeah, neither do I. Now, what's this thing here, Mesh?
Motherboard.
Yes, that's our motherboard. We're using the tried, tested, and true A320M from MSI. It's going to be decent enough for what we're trying to do here. It's not going to win any records. It is very basic. It is nice and inexpensive, but I think it's going to work just fine. It'll be good for what we're trying to accomplish today. And we'll see more about that in a little while. Huh? Yeah, you're doing great, Poop. Okay, now what's this last thing called, Mission?
Power supply.
Yes, indeed. And this will be the first time on this channel that we're using a power supply from Superflower. And I've mentioned before, Superflower is a company that essentially supplies power supplies to other companies, such as EVGA. And so this is going to probably be a really good unit. It's a 550 watt unit, and it's rated at 80 plus bronze. And it even has this little bit of information here to tell us about its efficiency at a particular load. But it's still kind of vague. It's not like it's going to be accurate for every single CPU in use case. But it should be fairly efficient. And I got a really good price. That is to say, I got it for a really good price. I only paid $40 for this thing. And I think it's fully modular. Yeah, it's fully modular. So we'll see how that looks in our build soon enough. And the last thing that we haven't talked about yet is this feller here. What's this thing called again, Mesh?
A case.
Yes, that's our case. This one is from DIY. And yeah, this is their DIY Mesh W. Very inexpensive, again. And as far as quality goes, I haven't gotten into it too much yet. It is a very light enclosure. That is to say, it's not very heavy. It's light colored, but it's also not very heavy. Anyway, it has some nice features for such a inexpensive case. I mean, it's painted. You know, it's not super sharp, which is nice. I don't expect to cut myself on this thing. It is tempered glass. It does have little dust filter thingies, but there's definitely some corners that have been cut in order to bring the price down on this item. For one, it comes with one fan. It's Molex. It's probably hideous. We're going to take it out. We're not going to use it. And it doesn't really have a real power supply shroud. This is just a sticker kind of thing, sort of inside of the glass, I guess. It's like a tinting of some kind. Anyways, it'll work fine, I'm sure, but that's one thing to keep in mind. It doesn't have a real power supply shroud. It has kind of one, okay? Anyway, I think it's going to look good. It's got a nice look to it. I don't think airflow is going to be a problem. So we should have a decent build on our hands. In total, we paid about $365 for all these parts. So I'm hoping not to put too much labor into this. I obviously want to sell this to somebody. So we're going to make it as good as we possibly can make it. And we're going to test it out, make sure everything's functioning well. And we're going to sell it for as cheap as we possibly can so that somebody can get a decent computer at a decent price. And then we'll take that money and we'll build something else. Okay, well, I'm going to start assembling this PC. Most of this is going to be time-lapsed, so just to save some time in the video. But I might interject a few things as I'm going along. Anyways, a little overview of the motherboard. You've got PCI Express slot here, 2 DIMM slots. You got, you know, obviously where your CPU is going to go right here. Standard mounting brackets, a couple of SATA connections here, a couple of SATA connections here. USB 3.0 right there, plus your normal connections down here, a couple fan headers here and here. And I believe that, no, actually, yeah, there are 3 now. Let's see, one. Never mind. This is not. This is USB. But this is a fan header here. This is a fan header here. And 4-pin power goes here. So yeah, it looks like it's pretty minimal as far as like fan connectivity goes. But anyways, this is where our M.2 slot is right here, and so that's what we're going to put into the board first. Okay, so here's what it looks like so far. As I said, I think these parts are going together very nicely. Now, I want to make a few notes here about the experience building in this case. I'm kind of digging this idea of being able to very cheaply have access to both sides of the power supply shroud. It might have been a cost saver, but it's also convenient, like I said, to be able to plug things in from over here and over there, or and vice versa. And this little hole right here has been very helpful. But as far as cable management goes around back, this thing is not going to have a whole lot of space behind the back panel, so we're going to have to be very efficient, even with the few cables that we have. So it's something to keep in mind if you are thinking about using this case. You're going to have lots of cables. You're going to need to find a creative way to manage those. But overall, the look is pleasing to me. I like it. We have a few more cables to run from the power supply. We got to get the PCI Express, VGA cable up here. And then we also need to make sure that I run the case cables for the front panel I/O and a few other things. So I'm going to do that now off camera just because it's boring. And we shall return with the cable managed PC ready to test. Okay, well here it is all put together. I think it's looking pretty good so far. Not bad for a little black and white build, I think. We haven't turned it on yet or anything like that, so we'll be seeing if it actually works here real soon. But I've essentially got it all cable managed and ready to test. So here it is from this angle, just to kind of have a look at it, and we'll see how this thing flies. Okay, so we're gonna go for the first post here. It's a tradition for me to say a prayer before I try turning on a PC that I've put together for the first time, mostly just to recognize the fact that I can't make a computer work, especially when it's mixed parts, both used and new, like this device. And so I'm just gonna ask our God to help us make sure this thing works and that it's good for whoever eventually ends up with it. So Heavenly Father, I just ask you to please, in your providence and your grace, help this thing to run well. And Lord, please bless the work of my hands here. I want this to be a good computer for whoever ends up with it. And so I just ask you to please pour out your mercy and your grace on me. And please just bless this device so that it's a good computer for somebody out there. All right, let's see what we can do here. Got fan action. There's definitely some activity there. It's thinking. So with Ryzen systems, it always takes a minute for it to be able to come out of its funk. Oh, there we go. Got some activity here. Nice. Okay. So this means that the 2200G is working in this motherboard without any issues. Let's see. Obviously, we're getting video out from the graphics card, so far that's working well. Let's see. It sees all 16 gigs of our memory. It's running at a standard speed right now, but we'll fix that in a little while. And it sees both of our hard drives. There's our SanDisk SSD, and there's our mechanical drive right there. Wow, man. Thank you, God. Seriously, thank you for making this thing run. So anyways, we're gonna go into the setup and get things set up. And we'll install Windows on this computer, and we'll see how things work. We're gonna do some testing on this weekend, and so wow, I'm excited. This is obviously the most unlit PC I've ever put together. So it doesn't have any RGB or lighting of any kind within the chassis. So I don't know. We might do something about that. We might not. We'll see. So yeah, let's see how this thing goes. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and add in this LED fan for the front of the case. It's going to help with airflow a little bit, but also I wanted to get some light inside the chassis, so that's just a nice, easy way to do that. Right now I have it running a pretty heavy benchmark. I just have it looping right now, just double checking stability and things like that. And you can kind of see the numbers here, how it's doing. This is running at 1080p right now, about medium settings. I kind of have the settings mixed up. So I've got, if you're not familiar with this, this is Unigen's gaming benchmark superposition. And it's running pretty well. I've got the textures on high. I've got the shaders on low. And I've got motion blur on because I just think it looks better in this particular benchmark. And it's averaging, I would say it's averaging around 80 FPS right now, running at 1080p. So this is a pretty heavy benchmark. And it's been looping through this for about a half hour or so. And the temperatures are pretty stable, pretty under control. You do hear the blower ramp up as it starts to heat up. I have it on a pretty aggressive fan curve right now, so you could make it quieter than this. But I like things to be nice and cool. 74 degrees is good. I like that. So it's running very nicely, and it's looking pretty good for what it is. But yeah, anyways, we're going to get this posted online for sale, and we'll see how it does as far as catching people's attention. And yeah, I'll see if there's anything else I want to add to this vlog, and otherwise we'll be done with this little guy. Okay, so I have posted the device online for sale for about $500. And I think that that's a good value. And I'm basing that off of availability and pricing for pre-built gaming computers that are out there these days. And so I just wanted to show what I'm talking about here as far as value goes. And if we go like to Best Buy, which is a common enough place for people to go to, believe it or not, to get a pre-built, just because that's what they associate with electronics is Best Buy. Not the best place to go. Obviously, online retailers are better, but they are certainly, Best Buy, they are certainly mainstream. And so if we look at what they're offering as far as gaming computers go, we'll head over to their website here. And if we just pull the menu down, I think we can shop by department. And we'll go laptops, desktops, and we'll say gaming desktops. And we'll see just what we're doing here. So instead of best selling, let's just cut the chase, price low to high. All right. So we've got the first one, the very cheapest one they have, $615. So $16 more than what I'm charging for mine. And let's compare some of the specifications. First of all, it's in this OEM. Oh, by the way, this is an open box, so this is used, which I guess, that is what it is. But so it's in this OEM package by HP, and it does have what appears to be a quad core. Let's see what this thing is. 4300G. Ryzen 4300G. It is hyper-threaded, so it's got a better CPU. Okay. Not significantly better, but definitely better. It's got less RAM. It's probably in single channel, which is just going to actually make it perform worse than, in my opinion, than what I've got in the one that I'm selling right now, which is the 2200G with 16 gigabytes of RAM running in dual channel. This is probably not rated very high either, so the RAM in mine is running at 3200 megahertz. This doesn't look like it even advertises what it is running at. See, it just gives us capacity here.
So I'm guessing 266. Sorry, 2666. I would be surprised if it's running any better than that. And it's probably generic stuff. So half the amount of memory, perhaps a little bit better CPU, not running as well. And it's, let's see, it's running an RX 5500. So an RX 5500, it's not the XT, versus RX 470. So the 5500 is obviously a newer model, but it's an OEM card. I don't believe it was ever released for people to purchase. That would be the 5500 XT. So we're going to select that. And according to this, it's better, by a good amount. But I wonder if it's really accurate. Let's see. Just looking at some of the statistics. So, I guess if you're going for raw performance, the value for this is about the same, considering that it's $100 more. But it also has less RAM. That's going to be a bottleneck in a lot of cases. You're going to have to add some RAM. Like, it's just, you have to. So that automatically brings the price up at least another $30, I would say, something like that. So this thing is not as good of a value. This is going to end up costing you more than what it's listed as. And for some reason, it actually says it's $650 right here. Yeah, so never mind. It's actually $650. So $650 is the cheapest one they have. It has an actual graphics card. That's great. It's got, a little more SSD storage. So it's got that going for it, I guess, but it's still not big enough really to hold a lot. I mean, in my opinion, there's not going to be a lot of difference between 128 gigs and 256 gigs. Neither one of them are really functional as far as storage goes. It'll be good for running certain programs and things, but you're not going to be able to fill it up with a lot of stuff. It's just not enough space. So you're going to have some kind of additional storage, and this doesn't look like it comes with any. So mine comes with this 500 gigabyte mechanical drive just for extra storage. And of course, you can always add storage, and I guess that works in either case, but it's just one less thing that this thing has. And we're talking about $650 plus $30 to upgrade your memory, which, in my opinion, as I've said, is a necessity. You cannot run 8 gigs and expect to have a good experience out of that. I mean, this isn't an office PC. You need more than 8 gigs for other stuff. So this is going to end up like just under $700, really. Like $680 is probably what this is going to end up costing you. And so that's just not that good, and it doesn't look very good. The components aren't going to be very good quality. I mean, it's just going to be kind of junky. The next thing that they have on the list is it looks like it's got a 3100. It has an RX 570. So and it looks like it's got mass storage. It's in a more custom looking case. This looks like it's a better value, but notice it's sold out, right? So it's less expensive than this one, sort of technically, maybe. It also has only 8 gigs of memory, so you'd have to update that. So let's go ahead and add another $30. That's $680. It's got more storage altogether, but it's sold out. You can't get one, right? Let's take a closer look, though. Let's see. Specifications. Specify for me marcations. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, it has a 3100. That's a hyper-threaded 4-core. It's actually a good CPU. In my opinion, it's decent. That's a good one. Let's see. Yeah, it's got that mechanical drive. Nothing spectacular here. I'm wondering what variant of RX 570 it would have come with, is my question. Was it the 4 gigabyte? It doesn't even tell us which memory capacity it is. It just says 570. So I'm thinking it's probably just a 4 gig like mine. The performance between the 570 and the 470 is pretty negligible. If we just compare it with this thing, a lot of people don't like this website for these kinds of things, but I'm comparing apples to apples here. So there's no reason for them to lie about, how well one AMD card does compared to the other. So anyways, this is only going to be just slightly better performer. Not significant, not a significant difference. So, pretty much the exact same card. It's just it's a refresh essentially. Anyway, oh, and by the way, this is at stock speeds. So I was able to get a 13% bump on the 470 that I'm working with right now really easily, just by doing a really mild overclock. And so it's basically the same exact card. Okay. So basically the same experience, more money, and not available. So, and it's a lot more money. It's going to end up, like I said, costing roughly $200 more than what I'm selling right now. So that's what Best Buy has to offer as far as comparable products. Now, if we go to Newegg, it's more of the same crap, except it's worse. Okay, we'll go over here. Today's best deals. No, we're going computer systems, desktop computers, no, gaming desktops. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to say lowest price. We're going to get a whole bunch of refurbished trash, so I'm just going to do a couple of things so that we can get rid of some of these other junky things that we don't really want to have on our list. Let's take a bunch of things out of the equation. Okay, let's do that. Apply. Okay, so here we go. Cheapest gaming PC that they have that is an actual gaming PC. Let's see what it offers. It's $760 on sale, according to their website. It was $140 more. I don't know if $900 for this thing. I seriously doubt that. But it does actually have a discrete graphics card. It's got a 1050 Ti in it. I would say it's comparable to a 470. Again, it's kind of in the same performance category. 1050 Ti. Now here's the thing where things get a little tricky. Because we are going to be comparing two different things. 1050 Ti. Why are there two? I don't want the mobile. I want the regular. 1050 Ti. Oh, dang. Okay, and that's with the NVIDIA bias that people claim this website has. So 31% more performance out of the card that I have in the system here at home. That is significantly better. Significantly better. That's going to really bring a lot more frames. Let's see. It's got a larger SSD, but it's a SATA SSD, and it doesn't have any mass storage. So 480 is good. I think that I would be satisfied with that until I needed more, obviously. But I would say that's an advantage. But again, 8 gigs, not cool, not okay. I just don't understand why anybody is trying to get away with that. You have to add another 8 gigs anyways, so it's not really helping the price, and you're just giving somebody a chore. Just include another stick of RAM, bring the price up $25, and sell more, because you'll have more satisfied customers. The most promising thing that this thing has in its build is this 11400F. That's a very, very good CPU. That'll blow the CPU that's in my system out of the water. It's not exactly going to help with gaming performance. It's going to be highly bottlenecked by that 1050 Ti. But the 470 with that 11400 would be way better. As far as just like stability and smoothness and performance, all that stuff. But anyways, that's kind of a digression. Like I said, it's kind of irrelevant as far as gaming performance goes. It is not going to perform as well as this one, even with a nicer CPU, because it's going to be bottlenecked by this crummy 1050 Ti, and it's even one of the crummier versions of a 1050 Ti. So this is way overpriced comparatively speaking, even with this ridiculous sale. So that's the best they have to offer. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. It's still doing featured items. Let's do lowest price again. Oh, it's still getting us these garbage computers. Okay, so this one's $400. It was listed as $600. Again, I don't believe that. It also has some kind of promotional thing going on, but look at this crummy stuff. It's got an A8 9600. That is a bulldozer-esque crummy CPU, and it doesn't have any dedicated graphics. It's an iGPU. So this is trash, essentially. Like, it's not going to be really good for anything. It just looks kind of neat, and that's about it. Same thing here, except this is a better CPU at least, but it's just onboard graphics. It's a dual core for $400. Let's see. So you're not going to be able to do anything with that, like gaming wise. It's not going to do anything. You have to get a discrete graphics card for that, and then it's going to be bottlenecked by that dual core. Let's see. Same junk. Same crud. Bunch of nasty people trying to rip you off with throwing a fresh coat of paint on something they found in a trash can. Let's see. What's this one? Ugh, that's an first gen i5 with a discrete 250, a Radeon R7 250, 2 gigabyte. This is going to be just about as good as that other one we were just looking at. Even though it has discrete graphics, it's really, really bad discrete graphics. Man, I gotta sneeze. I'm allergic to crummy deals. Oh, look at that. Here's one for $500. That's what we're selling ours for. Dual core iGPU junk. Just absolute crap. And this has got a instead of tempered glass, that is acrylic. It's going to scratch to all get out. And they're trying to pretend like it has a graphics card in it. It doesn't. It is just a CPU. And you can see right there for yourself, there's no graphics card shown in the photos. They did put an 80 plus sticker on that, so that's nice. I doubt that it's really 80 plus. Oh, that's another thing that we haven't discussed. All of these PCs that we've looked at so far, they're going to have generic power supplies that are unreliable and probably underpowered. So that'll be something else that you'll probably have to replace down the road if you want to get anything better. The power supply that comes in this thing is much nicer than what you're going to find in most pre-built computers at stores like this, even in other online retailers. They try to save a buck in the dumbest ways, man. You just don't want to put a crummy power supply into a computer. Anyway, so yeah, I just figured I would show some of this data that's out there as far as value is concerned. I think that this one is going to be a decent computer for the price. So there's already been one or two people that have shown interest in the posting. So we'll see how it does. And hopefully we'll get it sold soon. So I hope this whole thing was helpful to you, whether you're building a PC or buying a PC. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself as far as electronics is concerned is buy secondhand. And it's way more value if you can put something together yourself when it comes to PCs. So buying from a guy like me is good, and then building it yourself is better. Okay? Going to Best Buy or Newegg for something like this is just a bad idea, especially right now. You're going to get ripped off. All right, well, I will hopefully see you guys in the future. Goodbye.